Thank you very much. It's a real honour to be here. I'm a Kiwi. I'm a male, and I didn't study STEM, so there's been a bit of a programming mix-up. But we do have a business that's tackling a very serious problem, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I've just come from New Zealand, and the Prime Minister there just had a baby, Jacinda Ardern. She's 37, and we're very proud, so I just wanted to sort of congratulate her on that. It's a big deal. And she likes our shoes, and when she first met the Australian Prime Minister, she gave Mr Turnbull a pair of Allbirds. And I don't think I've ever been more proud. And the cool thing was he already had a pair. So we're bringing nations together. Peace, harmony. So, Allbirds. We are a team of 117 people as of this morning, based in San Francisco. And we're tackling a very important issue in the fashion industry. We're trying to make things in a better way. And the fashion industry's got a little bit of a problem, I think, because I think it pays lip service to the idea of sustainability. In America alone, I think Americans buy 7 to 8 pairs of shoes a year on average. The footwear industry makes billions of pairs of shoes, largely out of not very good stuff, pretty thoughtlessly. So we've formed Allbirds with the view that there is a better way to do it, and that small businesses, as I think Layla's just shown, when they point towards big problems can have big impact, and that's what we've tried to do. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on the business and how we've thought about it and how we've built it, and hopefully that's interesting. Okay. The business is founded really on 3 insights. The first one is simple design. So I was, in a previous life, a soccer player and motivated to play soccer because I got free gear, largely. And everything that I had to wear, all the shoes I had to wear had logos. And it was over-designed and overdone and over-colourful. And the very first insight really was it was hard to find simple. And I think, particularly in this age of overwhelming choice, overwhelming selection, the idea of finding something pure and simple is very, very hard. And that was the core insight that led me to start to work out how to try and make a shoe. And it's still true today in the business, and I'll show you exactly what that means in a second. The second was the idea of comfort. And I think there's been this enormous casualization of fashion, a more informal dress code in the way that we go to work, and that's real. And I think it sometimes gets nasty labels like athleisure, which gives me the creeps because I don't think it's a trend. I don't think it's a fad. I think it's a fundamental shift in the way that we're working and that we're playing. And the second insight that underpinned Allbirds was that this had come to apparel and fashion, but it hadn't come to footwear. So that there was an opportunity to really go after the idea of comfort in shoes. And I think whenever you hear that your dad or your old man has bought a comfortable pair of shoes, you automatically assume they don't look very good. So it turns out it's the number one reason why people buy footwear. And so there was an opportunity to bring design to the idea of comfort. And the third thing is really the core or the foundation of why we started this business, my co-founder and I. And that is that we've got a problem. We don't make things very well, particularly in footwear. And we believe, that there was an opportunity that these materials were out there, that this was a problem that we could solve. If I surveyed the audience and I asked you, and I'm not going to do it, but I asked you if you cared about the topic of sustainability, I guarantee all of you will put your hand up and say you do. And then if I asked you a follow-up question to audit your day today or your last week or even your last month and ask you if that feeling, that deep empathy for this particular topic has impacted a purchase decision at any moment, or the way that you bought your coffee or a clothing purchase, I would sort of say it's probably unlikely to have done that. And the disconnect between this deep empathy for the subject and the way that we behave, I think is the opportunity for businesses like ours to come in and solve these problems in a better way. And how do you do it? People don't buy sustainability. They buy great products. But it should be a non-negotiable for anyone who's making stuff today to do that as sustainably as they can. That's a responsibility that we all have, and it's something that we shouldn't pat ourselves on the back for. We should get our head down and we should try and solve that problem, and that's what we've tried to do at Allbirds. And in a short space of time, we've made some real impact. So, Allbirds was launched on the 1st of March 2016 with my co-founder and I in San Francisco. Our wives were roommates in college, and they brought us together. Neither of us knew anything about shoes, but I had fumbled my way through finding factories on Google and worked out how to make a shoe out of wool, bringing sustainable materials to footwear for the first time. And in the first week, in fact, the second day that we launched, Time magazine called our shoes the most comfortable in the world, so that was good. And we had this unbelievable sort of run. And we launched with one shoe, so one pair of shoes. And we got some venture investment and some investors that backed this sort of clarity of focus. But it's very unusual in the footwear industry to do that. And there was a lot of pressure to release a range, to change it seasonally. And we were like, no, we're going to do this differently because we're going to focus incredibly on materials. We're going to focus on the idea of comfort. That's what we're going to do. And it went well. And in the first month, we sold $1 million, and this thing just exploded and has continued to explode. We started with 6 people working out of my co-founder's mother-in-law's house with his dog Walt, and it has grown rapidly. We've added kid shoes called Allbirds, just because the name was too good, and continued to grow. And we've done this all with a business model that I just want to kind of talk about a little bit, because it's a big theme in America at the moment, direct-to-consumer revolution, where traditional categories are being upended by a business model that allows you to have a direct relationship with your consumer. And that allows us to do things differently. The majority of shoes in the States are bought through wholesale. So to sell them online gives us some significant advantages. From a margin point of view, obviously, we're able to invest in sustainable materials. We're able to pay up for the right things in the right way. We're able to move faster. We don't have to release product. We release product only when it's ready, not because the wholesaler or the retailer demands it, because they want a new shoe for spring or a new shoe for fall. So we do it on our own terms. We have the ability to control the message. Every particular touch point, from packaging to storytelling, is our story to tell, and no one gets in the way of it. And then probably most importantly, we own every aspect of the relationship with the customer. So we get incredible data on what people like and incredible feedback. So we put a product out straight away, people will tell us if they don't like it, and they do. Through social media, through our customer service. In store, we have stores in San Francisco and New York, and soon to be in many different cities in the States. And that feedback loop is the competitive advantage, I think, of our business and of the way that we operate, and it allows us to move faster. So it's really important. And look, just some photos here. One shoe, one price point, no discounting. And then here, just a little bit more on listening. So feedback, it comes through our social channels, NPS surveys that we run through to 10% of our customers and do deep dives quarterly. We get weekly reports from our customer service and from our retail staff. Both me and my co-founder and every person in our business spends time working in our stores and focuses on the experience. And that ability to listen and take feedback has allowed us to move really, really fast. And famously, we've made 35 changes to the product we launched on the 1st of March to the one we sell now, inline changes based on little things that we can do better, little material updates, little fit improvements. We've found more efficient ways to do things. And this model is we think, quite unique in footwear. It's also allowed us to make new products and solve new problems. So pretty early on, we found that about half of our customers were wearing our shoes without socks because the wool was so comfortable. And what we found was in the summer, when it got hot, that number jumped to two-thirds, and the experience was suboptimal. Wool in the summer was not working really well. So we went out to try and solve that problem and find a new material to do that. And we found eucalyptus fiber. So we launched recently launched our second sustainable material and the most sustainable shoes that we've ever made on the back of customer feedback. On the back of our customers saying, hey, you've made this product and it's not really working at the moment. You need to go solve that problem in a better way. And we did that. And we've done that with a material that's never been used in footwear before. So our eucalyptus fiber shoes launched in March, and they've been phenomenally successful. So that's one example, I think, of how we've innovated by listening. And we've also focused on making the brand fun. We focused on every sort of aspect, every social post, every detail to try and build a world around our products that has helped with the success. So anyway, so 2 years in, we just launched our Tree, was our second material innovation, and we've sold 1 million pairs of shoes in America and New Zealand since we launched. We've never discounted a pair, and we've had this great success out of the gate. And as I've got to tell this story a lot, I think it's often easy to make this look like it was an overnight success. I think particularly in San Francisco and the Bay Area, people want to believe in the mythology of something that just an idea that you have, and then the next day it goes big. And so I wanted to just kind of go back. I always like to show this was the very first shoe that we made, and it looks like something that you might make if you have a medical problem. And I was playing soccer at the time, and I had this big idea for shoes and all the insights that I've just shared with you. And I showed these to my teammates. I said, "Hey guys, look," and they just completely destroyed me. But I went again, and then I think it might have got a little bit worse at this particular point. And then it got a little bit better, and then it got a little bit better. And might have got a little bit worse there. And then this one looks like it got stung by a bee. And I remember coming home to my now wife with this product, and we were preparing to launch on the 1st of March. We were going to have this big rollout, this big press rollout in America. We'd raised this money. And I remember showing this to my wife. I'm like, "I think we're getting closer." She said, "No, you're not." But we kept going, and we kept going, and we kept going. And then eventually I think we have this singular product that has gained traction, and I think in my mind is sort of, if you were going to make one shoe, what would it look like? Every detail, I think there's hundreds of prototypes, and we've landed on what we kind of termed the right amount of nothing. And the only way we did that was because we had the courage to keep showing up. And I just want to kind of leave, for all of you that are working in business, and it's not easy. Later and I were just laughing. You get up and give these glossy presentations, and it looks like you just sort of woke up one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to just hire 100 people and build this global business." And it's been painful. And so I just wanted to show that. And it's built around the idea of comfort. And it's interesting because I didn't think that idea was enough. I probably 5 years working on that, and the shoes were comfortable, and I didn't think that was enough. And I think the great brands are built around a simple idea. And our brand is comfort. It's sustainable material innovation through comfort. But simplicity is hard, and it took us probably 5 or 6 years not only to make the product, but to understand that was the simple idea, that was the problem we were going to solve, and we're going to go after that and nothing else. And I think sometimes you get distracted, particularly when you're building brands and businesses. You want to go do 15, 20 things. It's about doing one thing better than anyone else and doing it really well, and that's what we've tried to do. So finally, 3 little takeaways just to leave you with. I get asked all the time, why is this working out? And the short answer is 1,000 things have come together, and a bunch of hard work and the courage to kind of pick yourself up and go again when people are sort of laughing at you. But I've sort of summarized it in 3 takeaways that hopefully might be interesting that you can apply to whatever you're working on at the moment. The first one is the courage to have a point of view. There is a direct-to-consumer revolution going on in America, and I'm sure it's the same here in Australia, where old world industries are being upended by new businesses that are coming in. And they're incredibly focused, and it's happening in mattresses and in eyewear and in every category you can imagine. And the way that's happening is these brands are focused. They're doing 1 or 2 things, and they're doing it unbelievably well. And I think in this age of more choice, more things to buy, more clicks and eyeballs and things to do, I think the brands that are winning are the ones that have the courage to focus. I liken it to sort of going out, meeting a friend for dinner on a Friday evening, and you haven't seen this friend for a long time, and you go to their local Italian restaurant, and your friend says, "Don't worry, I'm going to order for you. I know the chef. Just relax." And the wave of relief that comes across, because it's one less choice you have to make. So this idea of focus is real, and I think that the businesses that are doing that well, the businesses that have the courage to have a point of view, the businesses that have the courage to launch one shoe when everyone says, what if that people don't like that one shoe, are the ones that are winning. And I think that's real, and I think it's something to definitely, one of the lessons we've had, you're defined as much by the things you say no to. The why. In a previous life, I had the good fortune of being able to play soccer professionally, and I played in the A-League here in Australia, just up the road in Newcastle was where I got my start, and then for a New Zealand team, and then in the World Cup. And playing soccer was good. It was great. But playing for New Zealand was special. I got to put the silver fern on, and that changed everything for me. And once I got a taste of that, I was prepared to run through brick walls. And in the case of this particular business, for a while I was trying to make a shoe. And my dad used to make fun of me. He called me a cobbler, and it used to really annoy me because I didn't know anything about shoes. I'd come into this category. I'd seen a problem. I was trying to solve it, but I didn't know why. And then I realized through the help of my co-founder, Joey, that really this wasn't about wool, or as important as that is, and this innovation around it, innovation is to the wool industry. And it's not about shoes, as important as that category is, and as big as that business opportunity is. This is about finding better ways to make stuff. And this is the problem of our generation, and we've all got a responsibility to solve it. And in our small little way, we believe at Allbirds we can do that. And I haven't looked back. This has got harder since that point, and I haven't looked back because this stands for something more. And so whatever you're doing, finding your why, I think is critically important. And fortunately, in this particular case, we've been able to find it, and it's allowed us to build a team of incredibly talented people built around the idea that this business and what we're doing stands for something more. And finally, culture of feedback. The worst thing you can do as an entrepreneur and a founder is to not solicit feedback. And as you can see with all those prototypes, I did that widely and I did that often. And people gave it to me. And even in our business, we get a lot of it. So you should seek it in whatever you're doing, and you should seek it openly and often. The thing that's not often talked about as much with feedback is ignoring a lot of it too. You need to find a way to develop your own filter to not listen to everyone, to not trust experts. Innovation comes from breaking rules. You just got to know which ones are the ones to break, and that's not easy, and I don't have the answer, except that I know if I'd listened to everyone that told me wool shoes would never work, and that people don't buy shoes online, and that you can't make shoes more sustainably, and that there's some big companies that are doing this pretty well, so why bother? I wouldn't have got out of bed. So that ability to filter the good feedback from the bad feedback is pretty critical, and that's been part of our lesson, I think, in building Allbirds. And we've got a long way to go. I think we've got a fantastic opportunity as a business and a fantastic opportunity to make a difference, and that's what we're trying to do. So thank you very much for listening. Hopefully there was some things in there for you. It's a real honour to be here, and look forward to chatting with some of you during the day today. Thanks a lot.